So friends, the buzzwords that you typically hear of in IoT world is IoT itself, Z-Wave, Zigbee, LoRaWAN, NB-IoT. And then people hear of all kinds of sensors and they are thinking, okay, is this an Alexa? Is this a temperature sensor? Most of the people think of Nest. So let's demystify all of these and explain what all of these are. First of all, Internet of Things, the way I think about it, me personally, it's like every inanimate object that's out there can have a life, right? And could be part of the connected world, right? So we as human beings are connected. I would argue with living beings like plants, living beings like animals, and so there's a connection between all of us. But now with this technology, a simple thing like a wall, a window, phone of course, a car, right? Anything that you use on a day-to-day basis could be connected. Now what is it connected to? It's when people say connected, or as Internet of Things alludes to, they're mostly connected to the internet, and because they can be connected to the internet, all kinds of data that traditionally could not be tapped into is now available for us to tap into. So for example, appliances, right, inside a household, like a refrigerator, dishwasher, stove, can now transmit data, especially related to when the appliances are not, let's say, working optimally, right? So now they can send a signal, a data to you, the manufacturer, the homeowner, whoever, and say, I am in need of help, so help me, right? So that's one example of what is the potential of IoT. Now let's come to the protocols like Z-Wave and Zigbee and LoRaWAN and NB-IoT. And for all those non-tech people, which is myself included, all of these were great sounding buzzwords. In fact, the first time I used them, I felt like I was smarter than I actually was. And so I looked into what exactly are these protocols, communication protocols. And turns out the IoT world that I described needs a special kind of a language or protocol or a pipe to send the data, and those pipes are not standardized, right? Because they're not standardized, different people have come up with different kinds of pipe to send the data to the internet. So Z-Wave and Zigbee and all of these other protocols at a basic level are all just different kinds of communication pipes. Some of these are better in certain situations, like Bluetooth. I'm sure everybody uses Bluetooth, and they know Bluetooth really works well, in 10 to 20 feet. But two problems: as you go away from the object that you're connected to, the signal drops, right? Also, this kind of a device needs a lot of power. So those are the two considerations that essentially drive what kind of protocol you use. What's the energy requirement, what's the power requirement, and what is the distance that the data can go through without dropping. So that at a very basic level, folks, is what Z-Wave, Zigbee, and the protocols mean. Finally, different kind of sensors. Well, I can tell you that even I'm not fully educated on all the kinds of sensors, but I can tell you from an insurance context, the ones that we've been tracking very closely are the ones about, water or moisture detection, temperature, humidity, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, motion sensors. And at the core of it, these are all, capturing a quality and an aspect which by itself may not mean much. Well, sometimes it does mean much. For example, temperature settings, right? So Nest kind of revolutionized what you could do with a thermostat. So now we have all these different kind of sensors that are using these different protocols, have the ability to send the data to the internet, and someone has to now make sense of all these different data, aggregate it, normalize it, and then use it for the purpose that they have in mind. So in the consumer context, it's thermostat settings, heat settings, humidity settings. In the business to business, or especially in the insurance case, that the property insurance business use case that we're working on, think of it as peril type, right? So if there is a peril of say frozen pipes becoming a reality in the frozen tundra that Chicago becomes in winter, think of it from a sensor standpoint as a combination of temperature and moisture, right? So you take those two elements and put sensors that can measure that, and hey, along with the weather related information that's available out there, we can now start figuring out the risk that that peril presents and take action to mitigate. You can't prevent it, but mitigate that risk to a large extent to the benefit of for homeowners as well as the insurance companies. And that's what Purple Ant is doing today. Well, I hope that was helpful. I would love for you to put in a comment below on this channel if you want to reach us, or send me a note at pankaj@purple-ant.com. So long.